Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your July the 15th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I hope you're doing well this morning. Looking forward to the meditation. Let's see what we have. Okay. The title of today's meditation is Regular Inventory and Meaningful Commitments. If there was anything in our lives that required a regular commitment, chances are that we only followed through if it wasn't too hard, if it didn't get in the way of our self-indulgence, or if we happen to feel like it. That comes from the NA Step Working Guides, Step 10, Spiritual Principle. Being committed is more than just doing something over and over or showing up when and where we said we would. Commitment involves a conscious decision. We consider what we need or want, what we think is right, and what we are willing to devote our resources to. We take the time to think about benefits and drawbacks, time and energy required, other existing obligations, and whether we are willing to be willing when our enthusiasm goes away. Our past experiences with phrases like going to any lengths and no matter what were quite different from commitment in a healthy spiritual practice. Even in recovery, we remain compulsive. As creatures of habit, we may find ourselves repeating behaviors even when we don't want to. This can show up in our commitments. We keep a commitment out of habit, and because no one else has stepped up, we commit impulsively and then back out just as impulsively. Let me repeat that. We keep a commitment out of habit or because no one else has stepped up. We commit impulsively and then back out just as impulsively. Or we stick to an unwanted commitment, resenting ourselves in the commitment from start to finish. In time, we learn a healthier approach. The daily inventory of step 10 can improve our ability to make and keep commitments. Reflecting on our lives each day teaches us a great deal about ourselves, including the types of commitments to which we are and are not well suited. Regular inventory helps us become more disciplined and self-aware. And we experience further relief from defects and shortcomings. We grow, and our commitments become deeper and more meaningful as a result. Commitment is more than just showing up. Today, I will draw on step 10 and honor my commitments with mind, heart, and spirit. That is a powerful meditation. I'm trying to figure out how to unpack all of that. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go into a moment of silence, followed by the we version of serenity prayer, and then we'll get into it for a couple minutes, okay? Moment of silence. Now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. That is a powerful meditation. Okay. Regular inventory and meaningful commitments. So we're talking about step 10. Let's just start there. This is our daily, supposed to be our daily routine of looking over the course of our day. Okay. And so there's many ways that you can do a step 10. Some people call it their 10th step, inventory that they do every night. Just taking a few minutes in their journal to look over the course of their day, seeing if there's anything lingering in their spirit. An easy way to find out if there's something that is disturbing you is that you just can't stop thinking about it, rather, right? You might also not be able to stop talking about it. You might actually find yourself gossiping or trying to sort it out. But that's an easy way for you to figure out if there's something on your step 10 during the course of your day that you need to make amends for, or at least address, and it's easy to do, especially if you do it quickly, right away. It's harder to do the longer you let time go by before you readdress the situation. It's very difficult to come back to something that happened months ago. And that's not really a step 10, right? Now you have a whole resentment about it, and they probably do too. And so having a discussion about it is, I don't know, if you've continued the relationship and you've been going on some time and haven't addressed it, and you still are in touch with them on a day-to-day basis and no one's bringing it up, it can be quite awkward to say, well, a year ago, even though it might be the truth. It's very difficult. And I'm not saying don't bring it up. I'm just saying that it's better to do a step 10 for real. Take a daily inventory and make prompt amends wherever necessary. It makes it easier. Okay, so here you are, right? Sitting up in your bed, and you got your journal, and you got your little your nighttime tea, sleepy time tea sitting there, and you're sipping your tea and you're going through your day. And yeah, I did not handle that right with that teller at the bank. I was very snippety, right? What does making prompt amends? Is it awkward for you to go in the next day and just say, I just want to let you know that you didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. I was very short with you. And I know that you do a very important job, and it's very stressful dealing with all of the customers. And I just want to acknowledge you. It's important for me to acknowledge you and tell you thank you. I apologize. I was having a very bad day, and I was very stressed time wise. And that's no excuse. I just want to come back and acknowledge you and tell you that I think you're an awesome teller. Thank you very much. And they'll say something awkward like, oh, thank you, right? And you go on. Something like that may not be as easy as made it sound, but that is something that you might find on your step 10 that is lingering. Then there are heavier issues, right? And generally speaking, they're still going to deal with you and someone else. And the sooner you go back to it and try to deal with it, the better off it will be. It's beautiful to do a step 10 on a regular basis, because even though sometimes it can cause us to have some awkward moments, it keeps our conscience free. And if you really think about it, it was that conscience of yours that was full of resentment, anger, feelings of betrayal, guilt and shame were there because we betrayed some too, right? We hurt some too. And so there were no doubt guilt, shame is there, unforgiveness is there. And when your spirit is full of those things, it makes it very difficult for people to be able to engage in a healthy way with you. And it is talking about making commitments, right? Making commitments that we can actually honor instead of being angry about the whole time. I mean, there's some things that I do on a day-to-day basis that sometimes it feels like I'm the only one. And I get very upset at the fact that there aren't other people buying into the cause, right? That's human. But you know what? I'm not so upset about it that I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I love what I do, right? And so I'm going to continue because it's an honest, meaningful commitment for me. But that doesn't mean that it will be for everyone, right? Nor do you want people coming alongside you impulsively committing because there's no support and then they pull out impulsively. That's why we have to check our motives, right? Do the right thing for the right reasons, because we can jump into a situation just because it needs some assistance, some help. I mean, how many of us ended up chairing a meeting at the last minute because nobody would step up? Some people stepped up to be treasurer and they're still counting money for the group many years later. Some people are inherit being the GSR for a group by default, not because they wanted it, by default. And they're doing it 10, 15 years later. What a shame. What a shame. But what does that have to do with you? In some instances, nothing, and some, everything. This meditation has a lot to do with you, right? It's talking about being able to look at our lives daily in step 10 and look at those things that we are engaged in honestly, honest commitments, and look at those things that we're not. Just like we look at our relationships, the wrongs and things like that, we look at our commitments, the things we are involved in that would suggest that we are supportive of. And we figure out if those relationships with causes, commitments, right, is what we call them, if those are legit or not. And we try to figure out what we need to do different to be able to honor them in a meaningful way. It just comes down to being honest in an inside job. Because we want to be disciplined and we want to be self-aware. And we want to be able to have commitments without our character defects flaring up all the time because we're angry and resentful about whatever we're involved in. And obviously, it seems like it fits just, NA, but there's other things in our lives. There's other things we commit to, and we're not engaged. We need to take a look at those things. And if we can, step away from them in an honest fashion. Don't just drop the ball. Step away from them in an honest fashion because they no longer fit into your life. And that's okay because people change. Commitment is more than just showing up. Today, draw on your step 10 and honor commitments with mind, heart, and spirit. And if you can't fix that, if you can't be able to do that, seriously consider making the amends about it by stepping away from it and letting someone else that can bring their mind, heart, and spirit to whatever it is. My name is Mighty Stream. We did it, you guys. We were able to unpack that together. I'm going to have a beautiful day on purpose, and I want for you to do the same. Talk to you tomorrow.